Hey y'all. First off, thank you for all the messages asking for a deeper dive after the last video. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to zoom in on something a lot of you specifically wanted to hear more about. The pretty intense backlash that Nonsense on the Web faced in late 2022 and early 2023. This all kicked off right in the middle of her coverage of the Marvon McCray case. Look, I'm not here to yell or throw wild accusations around. I'm just laying out what was actually being said out loud by other creators and people in the family's support circle at the time. My goal is to show you the pattern so you can see it for yourself and make up your own mind. For context, Nonsense have been posting videos where she was calling out what she saw as BS in the Marvon McCray story. She was reacting to other creators, raising questions about the fundraising, and diving into some of the family drama. One of her videos from September 2022 is still up. It's called Nonsense on the Web Addresses More BS #Justice for Vaughn. In it, she was pretty much defending Marvon's wife Dre and pushing back hard on things other creators were saying. But it didn't take long before the pushback started coming at her from multiple directions. The main complaints that popped up in late 2022 and early 2023 boiled down to three big things we've seen play out in this space before. First, people accused her of harassing grieving family members. Second, they said she was editing clips in a way that seemed to twist or frame other people unfairly. And third, she was spreading unverified claims while still positioning herself as a truth seeker.
With true Molly fashion, she starts off her video with a bunch of word salad, basically stating that people are commenting on her post, saying that they're glad that she's happy that she and Letitia are being investigated. However, I don't really think that this looks like happy Molly, if you ask me. But something interesting that many of you don't know is that when I had a conversation with Letitia about a week ago, Letitia herself told me that there was an open investigation because of the harassment that authorities had been contacted and gotten involved. Letitia herself told me that in a message. Don't believe me? Oh, I'll put it in here for you. I'm really confused by Molly's confusion about an investigation when Letitia herself told me that all of this had been being reported to the authorities. So why is it shocking all of a sudden that there's an investigation? Because if they've claimed that the family has been harassed nonstop about this.
This part right here is one of the moments that really kicked off the backlash. A lot of people supporting the biological family felt like Nonsense was being overly aggressive and dismissive toward Molly and Leticia. Almost like she was interrogating them instead of just reporting. Supporters said it came across as piling on people who were already grieving and dealing with a lot.
I thought that everyone that asked for a refund got it.
And she says, I thought everyone who asked for a refund got it. Molly, people have been telling you that the people who have asked for refunds, none of them have gotten a refund. You keep trying to spin that back around on this side of things and saying, show proof of the refunds you all got. How can we show proof of refunds that have been issued when there isn't a single refund that has been issued off of any other platform than GoFundMe? GoFundMe is the only platform that anybody has gotten a refund off of, to my knowledge. I have heard that there was rumblings about a $20 refund that potentially was issued to someone. I have not seen proof of said refund at all so far to this point. At this point, I have seen zero proof of a single refund. I have seen the requests, but zero refunds.
And then I said, don't refund people because it's a donation, and I'm completely right.
Molly states that she told Letitia to not refund anymore whatsoever. When did Letitia start refunding, Molly? Can you give us a date, please? That would be really helpful. Not only would the dates be helpful that the refunds started.
Clips like this one got cited a lot in the criticism. People pointed out that Nonsense was making strong statements about refunds and blocked requests, but she wasn't showing concrete proof at the time, even while repeatedly calling herself a truth seeker. That gap between the claims and the evidence is what a lot of viewers at the time said felt inconsistent.
So if that implicates me, that's absolutely fine. Hershey police know where I'm at all the time. All the time.
And right back into the typical antics. Hershey police know where she's at all times. Why would Hershey police know your location or where you're at all times? Why would they even be concerned about that? Is it because you're that problematic that they have to know where you are? Or is it because they get that many calls on you? What is it? Because that makes zero sense to me. At all. And as far as anyone...
Moments like this, where she questions why Molly would even mention the police knowing her location, were called out as crossing into personal attacks. Critics from the other side said this kind of commentary felt like it was harassing or bullying grieving family supporters, rather than just discussing the facts of the case.
Of course, here she goes with the emotional pull. The first thing I thought of when I woke up this morning was Marvon. Well, that might be true. Maybe Marvon was on her mind. Maybe he is weighing heavy on her conscience. I would really hope so at this point in time. But one thing I will have to mention is you surely have no problem demeaning his story and or his name. You have mocked people with mental illness while covering and being the exclusive creator for a family that is dealing with a son in a coma from an incident that he tried to unalive himself. No matter what your opinions are, you have to acknowledge that this story is filled with mental health crisis. And for her to openly mock other people while simultaneously covering Marvon's story is disgusting.
And how he was doing. And I'm wondering, am I the only person that's sitting around wondering how he's doing?
This section got a strong reaction too. Some viewers felt Nonsense was framing Molly's emotional comments in a mocking way through her tone and editing, while simultaneously calling out others for lack of compassion. People said it showed a pattern of selectively highlighting things to make the opposing side look bad. One of the clearest examples of that backlash came from a video titled "Nonsense on the Web 2.0 Continues to Torment and Harass the Grieving Parents of Marvon McCray." In it, the creator, speaking from the perspective of many on the biological family's side, said that for 8 straight months, Nonsense had tormented, harassed, and lied about Marvon's biological parents, the very people she claimed to be fighting for and looking out for. They accused her of inserting herself into the family's pain in ways that felt more harmful than helpful. Instead of reaching out directly to hear their side or get their full story, critics said she relied heavily on screenshots pulled from private family chats, made strong accusations of fraud, scamming, and being money-hungry without what they saw as solid proof, and kept pushing a narrative that painted Letitia and Marvon Sr. as dishonest or opportunistic. The video also pushed back hard on Nonsense's coverage of Veda Vader, another creator who had contacted the family directly and brought receipts, calling out Nonsense for dismissing her as a non-factor while claiming to care about mental health. At the end, the tone got pretty intense, with the creator telling Nonsense to take your privileged white ass and take several seats, and to handle her own trauma instead of using it as an excuse while continuing to add to the family's stress.
Because these people, these parents were put through the ringer by Nonsense on the Web. And I say that because she accused them of being fraudsters. She accused them of being scammers and money hungry. And in my opinion, the only reason she came to YouTube was to destroy Marvon McCray's biological parents. Miss Letitia and Mr. Marvon Sr. have been put through hell. Until this day, Nonsense on the Web still disparages them, talks ill about them, and truly lies about them.
Moments like this one really highlight how raw the frustration was on the other side. Supporters of the biological parents felt Nonsense wasn't just questioning the story. She was actively making things worse for a grieving family by repeatedly accusing them without what they considered real evidence, all while positioning herself as the one seeking justice for Marvon. Another big one came from Steve McCray in February 2023. In a stream titled Nonsense on the Web 2.0, Framing People /WECK People Suck, he and his guest went through several specific clips and accused Nonsense of actively manipulating evidence. They pointed to moments where she took pieces of Molly Golightly's videos, edited them, and presented them in a way that made it sound like Molly was the first person to accuse Dre of trying to harm her husband, something they said was taken wildly out of context from the original stream. Steve and ECK argued this wasn't just sloppy commentary. They claimed it looked like a deliberate frame job, especially since Nonsense's version had her watermark on it before Katie Joy added text on top. They also brought up other examples, like altering the color saturation on Veda Vader's videos to make them look lower quality, and pushing unverified claims about investigations or refunds while calling herself a truth seeker. The overall take was that Nonsense seemed to be working with a small group, including Katie Joy, to push a particular narrative, and that her approach had crossed the line from honest criticism into straight-up trolling and framing people who were already dealing with a painful family situation.
Since Veda and I were talking about that in the stream, there's been their side would like to think or may have people believe that there's been new developments or whatever, but no, there's been nothing new. But it does appear to be as though the last part of editing, or the major part of editing on the video, was probably done by Katie. However, I think it was the two of them that went in on this, because, like, again, Katie said in her post that look at these clips that Nonsense found or whatever and put together. Look at this. This is, and then she says that these clips show that Molly Golightly was the first person to accuse Dre of, trying to off her husband.
I don't care about monetization. You can say murder.
Okay, all right. Trying to kill her husband.
Yeah, I don't do things for the money. Well, although it was nice to get a super chat.
Well, here's the thing, though. Okay, there's several different ways in which to look at this, but all of which are completely evading their eyesight, apparently. But, like, okay, let's, for argument's sake, let's just go out on a limb here and say that, okay, sure, Katie Joy did the editing, which I don't believe that, but we'll just say that let's humor this. Well, then that would mean that Becky found her clip from Manny's Behind the Mic's channel or whatever, didn't bother to even look at the original. Just
send it to Katie.
Just went with the whole Manny behind the mic clip or whatever, and interpreted that to mean that she tried to off her husband. Because in the video that Nonsense put out at the time, where she plays the clip from Manny's stream, she then follows it up with, see, look, looks like Molly was the first person to make that claim. So I don't give a fuck who edited whatever.
Clips like this one fueled a lot of the strongest criticism at the time. Steve and his guest pointed out that Nonsense took audio from another creator's stream, put her own watermark on the edited version, and used it to claim Molly Golightly was the first person to make a serious accusation against Dre, something they said was taken out of context. They argued this wasn't innocent reaction content, but part of a pattern of framing that helped push a bigger narrative alongside Katie Joy and others. There were also videos and posts in the same circle that referred to her as Becky, or Becky, aka Nonsense on the web, and directly addressed her for what they saw as harming a grieving mother who had rejected certain narratives. These weren't one-off comments. They were full streams and open-style letters from people who said they were tired of the drama being stirred around the McCray family. Here's what stands out when you watch these back-to-back with her own content. She positioned herself as the one calling out nonsense and seeking truth, but the people on the receiving end of the coverage said she was doing the very things she criticized others for: editing context, amplifying unverified claims, and continuing to post even after family members asked for space. Again, I'm not here to say anyone broke the law. I'm just noticing what was being said publicly at the time, by other creators and Facebook groups tied to the McCray case, and in streams that are still available for anyone to watch. This backlash period is important because it shows the same cycle we talked about in the first video. Jump into active pain, claim justice and truth-seeking, then catch the same criticisms from the very families and supporters you say you're helping. It's the loop that keeps repeating with several creators in this niche. So that's the public record of the immediate backlash against nonsense on the web in late 2022 and early 2023. I've linked the main videos in the description so you can go look for yourselves and form your own opinion. What stood out to you in these clips? Do you want me to pull specific side-by-side comparisons next time, or zoom in on how this overlaps with someone else in the crew? Drop your thoughts kindly in the comments. We don't profit off the pain here. We just point at the patterns. Thanks for hanging with me, y'all. I appreciate you.